like a little bit of time here for people to join. All right, let's see. All right, guys. Hey, it's TMD live on a Wednesday night, and I am live here from the mean streets of Marshfield, Wisconsin, where I risk my life each and every day as I head out to the world headquarters. Tonight, we got a couple guests on, and we're going to bring them on here one by one. This first guy, I think you've all seen him before. David Hughes from Michigan. How's it going?
It's going. I'm really excited about tonight. This is going to be good.
So what's new in your world? How's your week going?
Snowy and cold. We are getting absolutely hammered right now. They
Really?
just canceled all the schools, everything. They're saying like up to like 9 inches of snow.
All right. And then refresh people where you are in Michigan, where you're located.
Yep. Springport, Michigan, about 30 minutes south of Lansing.
Okay. So you're down on the southern end of Michigan, and how's your prep going for the season? Are you getting close?
I don't really want to jinx it. Things have went pretty smoothly. It's been tough to get out in the woods because I'm a wuss and it's been in the teens and windy. But other than that, since I've switched to tubing, it's just been going out and fixing leaks this year. Usually, up to this year, I'm doing something pretty big, new installation of tubing, new evaporator. I've just been growing. And this year, nothing's changing. So,
I hear you. I was outside today too, and it was quite cold. It was probably about 10 is all I got up to today, and it's not fun. It's not ideal for being out there very long. So I feel you. I hear what you're talking about. Yeah. But we're still gearing up myself. A lot of maintenance to do yet. Actually, new installation still not complete. So I'm holding on and hoping that it stays cold. And the next 2 weeks still look pretty cold here. And for us here in my location, about the 10th of March is kind of the traditional, that's pretty historically average. And I'd be very fine if that occurs this year. So give me a little more time.
Tim. I really think it's going to. Compared to the last several years, we've already been well going and making syrup by now. So this
really?
Oh yeah. Most certainly. All I have to really do at this point is go put on my spiles and drill holes at my location. So that's a pretty good feeling. I gotta run the RO, clean that out, for the beginning of the season. But I'm pretty much there, man. Like it feels good.
Ready to go. All right. I wish I was sitting where you are, but I'll get there. I'll get there. So tonight, guys, we have this is a new guest we got on tonight, and he hails from the state of Kentucky. And before I knew that this man made maple syrup and he was out in the woods, I thought it was moonshine. I really didn't realize what they were doing down there. But turns out he makes maple syrup in Kentucky, and that's something I just didn't think of every day. I didn't really know about it. And we're going to bring him on right now. We got Seth from Southdown Farms out of Kentucky. Seth, welcome to TMD Live. How are you doing?
Doing better than I deserve. Thanks for the invite. Appreciate it.
Well, I'm glad you're here. I met you several months in person, several months back. What? Back in October?
November.
November, when you guys had me come down to your annual Kentucky maple syrup days or maple syrup
School.
Yeah. And yeah, that was a great experience for me. You guys are all super nice. I mean, I can't say enough about it. Like I really had a great time down there with you guys. You're always very hospitable. Just really great people. And here's a picture. I just wanted to bring that up. There's a picture of when I was there. There's me. There's some of the other speakers. That was John. Is he the head of the association, right?
John is our president right now.
President.
Kentucky Maple Syrup Association.
Yep.
And everybody's nice down here. It's wonderful. I mean, really, there's no road rage here. It's wonderful.
Yeah, it was a great time. I mean, I would definitely do it again. If you ever want me to come down, I'll be there because you guys treated me right.
Awesome.
So
yeah, we loved having you. Appreciate it. Yeah.
Well, why don't you tell us, like I said, Kentucky's not something, David, that you wouldn't think it, would you?
No.
He's pretty far south. You think maple syrup, you think up here in the north, but Kentucky. Tell us about your farm. How you got in. First off, tell us about your family.
Yeah.
Tell us, just kind of give us a.
Yeah, very good. So just a little bit about where we're at. Right now, by the way, I heard you talking about the temperatures. We're at a balmy 48 degrees right now.
Oh, really?
By the way. Yeah, really are. We're going to get some, 12-degree weather next week. It's back and forth, but the Kentucky winters are a freeze-thaw cycle. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. But I'm not from Kentucky. I'm from Pennsylvania.
Okay.
My wife and I moved here in 1991 for a summer. We came to help people with housing. So I was in construction. There were housing needs here, and we came to volunteer for a summer. And we're still here. We made Kentucky our home, and we are in southeast Kentucky, about as far south and east as you can go in the state, on the Virginia line. Our county borders Virginia, and we're not far from Tennessee either. So right in that corner of Kentucky. So our area, our region, is known for lots of things. Coal is coal fields. It's a coal mining region, Appalachian Mountains. Also known for moonshine, known for a bourbon production, huge horses in the bluegrass. So Kentucky, when you think Kentucky, you don't often think maple syrup. So my wife and I, when we moved here and made this our home, we were able to buy some acreage. She grew up on her father's dairy farm. I grew up on and around farm. I was going to milk cows all my life. That's what I was going to do once upon a time. But we came here, and there's no tillable acreage to farm. Farming stuff here, usually very small type of subsistence type of farming, nothing like huge agriculture or anything like that. But ag's in our blood, and we're like, boy, want to be good stewards of the property. What can we do with it? And at the time, I knew 3 things about maple syrup. I knew that I liked it, tasted really good. I knew that it was really expensive, and I knew that I had maple trees. That's all I knew. That's it. And so we homeschooled our kids, and we're like, let's do a class experiment here and see if we can make maple syrup from these trees. I went to the hardware store, and I bought 1/2-inch plumbing nipples. That was my first spiles.
Okay.
I drilled 5/8-inch holes in the trees and collected in milk jugs that we washed out, and made about that much maple syrup that winter. And it was really good. So we're like, we got to learn how to do this. So you get on YouTube and you learn from we have no institutional knowledge about making maple syrup here. Like you don't go to your neighbor or ask somebody that's doing it. Everything was online. And we got to making 2 or 3 gallons a year for ourselves, just the way that we were doing it, learning as we went. But our limiting factor It's steep. The hills here are steep. I mean, they are so steep, very steep. And we could only pack so much maple syrup out of the woods in milk jugs a day. Like 24 gallons would be a big day for us because we had to hike up there and then come back down. In 2016, I think it was, local Letcher County Extension Service put on a Kentucky-Virginia maple syrup school. And there was 50 people in the room. They came from Ohio, Southern Ohio. They came from Virginia and all over Kentucky into the room. And there was probably about 6 other people that day that were making maple syrup. Everyone thinking we're the only ones making maple syrup in the whole state. But it kind of brought some people together. And then the other thing that happened was there was a producer there who was seasoned. He had done it for 18 years. He lived about 3 hours away from us. And he introduced us to tubing, the tubing system, and the light just went on for me. It was like, that's the way we get sap out of these hills, and we can do something different. That class was on the first Saturday in November, and by January 1st, I was on my way up to Topeka to Sunrise to buy my first evaporator. I borrowed some money and got enough money to put tubing up for 100 taps. And we made maybe 10 gallons of maple syrup that winter or so. But that's how we got our start. And
so you got your how many kids do you have?
I raised 7 kids.
You got 7 kids, and they all help with that?
The older ones have gone on, and I still have 3 in the home, and they're an incredible help. And I have some of my children will come back and help us during the season, especially during our Kentucky Maple Syrup Day, where we'll have like an agritourism event. Last year we had 500 people visit our farm on between 2 days, and we just sold out of everything that we had. So that was a cool event.
Did you just have that event recently too?
We had it. We have another one coming up this Saturday. So this is a statewide event open to the Kentucky Maple Syrup Association, and so whoever wants to participate can open up their farms. I think this year we had about 14 producers open up their farms, and there's an interactive map. There's a bourbon trail in Kentucky that you can drive from distillery to distillery and kind of do the tour. My big dream or vision is that we have a maple syrup trail, and it'll be a sticky thing going around the state of Kentucky, visit farm after farm who make maple syrup. It's kind of when you think of Kentucky, you do not think maple syrup. You don't. You think a lot of other things, but not maple syrup. So I think there's a lot of opportunities to grow. It's a novel industry. We enjoy a lot of interest. I mean, people just didn't know that we could do it, and it brings people out of the woodwork because I think it's the coolest thing ever was. We're on the southern edge of sugar maples where they'll grow. You don't go too much further. I think there might be some down into Alabama. We have friends in Tennessee at Afton Farms who they make maple syrup, but you don't get much further south and really are able to do this.
Yeah, when I was there, I met a couple people that is it Afton Farms, you said?
Yes, yeah, the Great Farms.
I remember them. They were Tennessee. And then there was another guy that was actually in Virginia, like in that very little tip, that little it sticks
Brian Hubbard, he lives about 20 minutes from here. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah.
Do you know sorry. Do you know these guys? Sweet, all these, they said Western Kentucky checking in.
Yeah. So the association, it's good to see them guys on here. We have members, from Clarkston to Canada, Kentucky, east and west, and Boone County north, all the way down south too. So it covers the state. Where we're at is mountainous, so our elevation is higher than some of this. It's a different climate. It's a little bit higher than some of the other areas of the state, which gives us sometimes, I think, a prolonged season and that type of thing. So yeah, one of the cool things I'd love to talk about this is, though we don't think about maple syrup being made in Kentucky, did you know we have an ag census here that's produced all the way going back to 1750. And in 1750 in this county, the ag census said there was 8,000 pounds of sugar made, maple sugar made. It's almost 1,000 gallons of maple syrup made back in 1850. Imagine it. I mean, that's pretty wild. So it's not a recent thing. The first year that we tapped trees, I had enough to sell at the farmer's market. I took it down there, real proud of what we did. And this old man comes up to me. He's 85 years old. And he said, "Seth, did you make this here?" And I said, "Yes, sir, I did." He said, "I'm sorry about that phone there." He said, Did you make it right here?" And he said, I said, "Yeah, I made it right there. You know where I live? I made it right on our farm." He said, "Well, I remember when." And right in front of me, he went all the way back to his childhood. He said, "Seth, everyone around here did this when I was 8 or 9 years old." He said, "You drive up and down these creeks in the spring and you see them out front in a big black cast iron pot. And they didn't make maple syrup." He said, "We didn't want it for our pancakes and waffles."
Sugar.
He made sugar, and they take it all the way down to sugar. He said his mom used to have tin cups, and she'd press it down in there real hard as a mold, take it out, wrap it in newspaper, and then put it in the lard can. And that's what the sugar was that they used. And he said, "We were poor." He said, "Sugar was rationed. It was expensive. It was hard to get." He said, "We just made our own." But he said, "I didn't want my kids to work that hard. So we got away from it." And everybody gets away from it. And it just kind of clicked in. Here we are sitting there with an evaporator, tubing system, an RO, a sugar house, everything else. And we've got all this technology. Is there a way to use that to connect to the past, to do something economically in our community? Because we do live in an area, if you know anything about the region, it's an area that suffers with persistent poverty. And we're always thinking about economic development. What can we do to better ourselves? And around here, property's cheap. Poor people own property. They don't have much, but they own property. They'll call it worthless hillside property. But what I want them to know is there's something up there of value, and there's maple trees all over the state. I think according to UK Timber Survey, there's like 52 million maple trees that are 8 inches or bigger in the state. There's 6.9 million maple trees in our county and the surrounding Kentucky counties right here. So there's a lot of potential there to do something with those trees. And it's a crop that you don't have to plant. You don't have to fertilize it. You just really need to tap into it. And especially if you're a farmer trying to make a living, what are you doing this time of year in January? What are you doing? You're waiting.
Right.
You're waiting for the calves, the lambs to get in the field, and you can literally turn the sap into cash. So it's one of the things that we talk about all the time when we give tours and stuff on our place.
We got a question for you, kind of relating, kind of a natural question, being where you're located. How long, and this is from Vince at Frontier Village. He says, "How long does your typical season last in Kentucky?"
That's a great question. So from my experience, what I know, a lot of folks that are making maple syrup here will tap our trees at the beginning of January-ish, keeping an eye to the weather. And then if we have a good season, we'll go to March. And then, what you start hearing is the spring peepers, and then the sap will go buddy, and then we smell it, and, it's time to quit. The season's over, and we'll probably be planting peas and potatoes when you guys are just starting this year. I don't know, but
sure.
That's our typical season. And if you think about a Kentucky winter, we don't have those long sustained cold periods like you do. Like up north, it gets cold, stays cold. You go ice fishing, play ice hockey, or whatever you do when it's cold. And then the spring thaw comes. Our whole winter is a severe series of back and forth. I mean, honestly, I've seen it colder here in Kentucky than I did where I grew up in PA. It's hit minus 22 on the thermometer. And that's not wind chill, but that's on the thermometer. And I've seen more snow on the ground here than I have in PA at one time too. So the winters are all over the place, but every time it has one of those cycles, there's often a good sugar flow as well.
Okay.
Do you feel that your seasons over the last 10 years have been getting shorter at all? Or do you think they've stayed very consistent? Have you noticed any fluctuation there or anything trending to your window closing over time?
The trend is no consistency. It seems to be all over the place.
Yep.
That's the trend. This year we were froze up all January, which is really unusual for us here to be that froze every day of January, but it was. Last year, it was quite the opposite. One of the challenges that I think that the Southern sugar maker has is the warmer temperatures in the middle of your season. Because like this past week, we hit just 68, 69 degrees.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So those, think about 60-degree weather for a day or two, and you have sap in your lines, and what's that going to do? You know what I
Right.
mean? It's a challenge. You got bacteria. It's more of a challenge than I think that you have up north, that we need to think about and we need to deal with. And we do some things to help with that. But I think that's one of our bigger challenges down here.
What are those things that you do?
Well, I don't know if this is anathema or not, but we use 3/16 inch tubing. Remember, we have, on my sugar bush, we have 400 feet of fall from bottom for my sugar houses to the top. So we have plenty of fall. So I can use that fall to gain natural vacuum. It's the right system for us here where we're at. So that seems to work well. But then with the 3/16, what you need to do is spend a lot of time sanitizing at the end of the year, cleaning out that tubing and getting that ready for the next year. This year, I actually did it again before the season in late November, which seemed to help me a lot, by the way, too. And then the other thing that we've done is use 3/16 tubing and 5/16 inch drops. So that helps with the back pressure. And I think, David, you may have even posted somewhere on the make maple syrup great again or fun again or whatever it is about the check valves. I think I saw something.
Yep.
We've tried them too, but I think our challenge there is the little check valve with our warmer temperatures in winter, it tends to get gummy. And
yeah, they're more intended for vacuum too.
Yeah, well, we have natural vacuum. We're able to pull. I put a vacuum gauge on the end of each one of my lines, and we can pull 27 inches of vacuum without any issue.
Wow.
No issue at all on each one of them. The only difference is I can't flip a switch and get it started. I need it to flow to get started. But that'll take me a couple, a day or two or three longer, with sap production and too. Another challenge that we have here that I don't know if it's unique or not, but our forest composition is a lot different than it might be up north. I know what it is here, that we're competing with oaks and hickories and poplar trees. And if you think about the maples growing up in the middle of them, they tend to be more reaching for the sky, daylight, and spindly. So we've been working with NRCS doing TSI work and timber stand improvements on our property. So if I go back in time, maybe 20 years, I had them come in to do a timber stand improvement project on my property. You know what trees they marked for me to cut out? Mostly
The maple.
red maples, right? So I followed the plan, I did it, and then I discovered maple syrup, and I was like, hold it, this doesn't make sense. I mean, we're cutting out something that might not have much timber value, maybe not a whole lot of wildlife value, but there's value here, and we need to think about this. So I was able to invite the state NRCS director in and gave him a tour, and actually was help the state make timber stand improvement towards maple syrup making a practice in Kentucky. It's one of the practices now that you can choose. So we are saving those maple trees in our woods if somebody chooses to do it. So what I've been going in is releasing trees around the maple trees, every year, very slow. I mean, it takes time for the trees to respond,
Yeah.
But our sugar contents tend to be, I think, lower down here than what you guys might be seeing too. So,
What are those numbers?
so I do cartwheels when I'm 1.5, 1.6. You know, if I can get there, I'm happy, honestly.
Wow.
This year, we're a solid 1.2. Last year, I was at 0.9 to 1 all season long. Yeah,
Okay.
oof. But then on the flip, I always tell people we just have to work a little bit harder down here for what we get. And then, you know, we also get premium prices too. I think they're pretty good prices. So we sell all of our maple syrup for $12 in 8-ounce bottles.
Okay.
So, you know, you're getting a premium price, you know, so there's a bit of a trade-off there, I think.
Yeah, that's a good price you're getting there if you're doing it all in 12-ounce bottles for
Directly to the customer.
Yeah, no, that's the way to go if you can do that.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
So in Kentucky, RO is your friend.
RO is my friend. Me and my wife used to have the night watches, like with our evaporator without the RO. Lots of sap and boil right through the night. You know, I have a full-time job. I'm the director of the housing organization that I came to volunteer with. So it's a demanding job. I got a lot on my plate. So I come home from work and we start boiling. And we would take 3-hour shifts, go to bed for 3 hours, get the alarm trade off, do that all night, and go to work the next day. RO is my friend. Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah. I got to show this comment. This is from Logan Payne. You know him?
Yeah. Yep.
I do remember this. You said one of my favorite comments from the maple syrup school was, in Kentucky we boil sap and we cook meth.
I can't believe somebody put that in writing.
I remember you saying that because I was up there making one of my stupid jokes about cooking sap and what you say, and then you said we boil sap and we cook meth.
Well, so when I started, before I had an evaporator, I did it over a flat pan on my porch, you know, lights on at night, and all this steam's coming up, and I'm always afraid that somebody's going to drive by and report us for cooking meth up here or something like that, because nobody thinks you're cooking maple syrup here. So, yeah.
No, that was a funny. Yeah, that was a good line. Let's see.
I'll tell you one thing I was really shocked at when I was doing some digging around on the University of Kentucky's page is you guys are allowed to sell up to $60,000 of maple syrup before you need a commercial license, whereas Tim in Wisconsin is only allowed to sell $5,000, and me here in Michigan, I'm only allowed to sell $15,000 before we need commercial. I thought that was like, wow.
No more freedom down there in Kentucky.
Exactly. Yeah. Don't say it too loudly. They might impose this laws. But yeah, one of the things that we did on our farm, we put a commercial kitchen in our farm that's licensed so that we could sell. If you don't have a commercial kitchen, you're limited to face-to-face sales.
I see.
But this way we can sell on the internet. And one of my thoughts is, you know, what I love to do, especially thinking about economic development, thinking about, you know, this post-coal economy that we're in, trying to do stuff. Wouldn't it be great if we could make maple syrup and sell it to places where there is money and bring new money into the area? Yep. So that's one of the things that we've dreamed about.
That's cool.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
Yeah,
I'm gonna. Oh, go ahead, David.
I was super impressed as well as everything that Kentucky offers. I seen grants, I seen startups. They said that they would send people out to your farm and business plan with you. Yes. I was blown away with what you guys have to offer compared to Michigan here. Like, we don't have half of the stuff that I was reading. I was like, honey, we're moving to Kentucky. Like, you know, like it was crazy the opportunity you guys have down there.
Yeah, the
programs and incentives.
There's a lot of support. The Department of Agriculture. There's a lot of groups, nonprofit groups like K-Card, and the Extension Service and everything is really pitches in and gets behind. UK Extension has really got behind this kind of idea. They see the possibilities. And, we were able through Kentucky State University and Department of Agriculture funds, we were able to get the dollars together, put a proposal. I think we built the first sugar shack with those dollars in the state.
That is cool.
So there's a lot of opportunities for people to take advantage to get going. And if you can get that initial equity, in an investment and get a start, then you can reinvest and grow the business. And that's kind of the idea. I should say too, the Kentucky Maple Syrup Association has been wonderful. A great board, a great group of folks. There's not a lot of infighting or, jockeying for position. We're just all, not very big. I think probably the biggest, I talked to our president today in preparation for this. I think we might have some members with 1,000 or 1,600 taps like that, but most of us are in the hundreds, type of thing. So small operations, but, just trying to make a go of it and do something here that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I seen on one of their posts on the university's extensions that they were talking about, the average startup for your guys' area is about 500 taps, and they can expect an investment around $25,000. That's a reverse osmosis, evaporator, filtering system, tubes, taps. That's kind of what they were saying for the average, cost per tap down there is kind of what to expect.
Yeah.
Did you in your area have any damage or from the flooding and all that stuff that went on a couple months back? Did that affect you guys?
In 2022, we had catastrophic flooding, much like what happened in North Carolina, if that's what you're referring to.
Yeah, that's what I was referring to. I didn't know if that got up into your area at all.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, right here, we were one of the 4 hardest hit counties in Kentucky, and I've never seen anything like it in my life. It was just incredible. 55 people lost their lives. I know in the town of Neon, Kentucky, there was a little brook that goes through there. I mean, you can step across the brook, and in town, we had at some places, 10 feet of water in the middle of town, from mountain to mountain, which is probably 300 yards wide.
Wow.
Just incredible. 17 inches of rain in less than 24 hours.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was, and then they're still cleaning up from that. I mean,
so
for a long time.
We're building houses. So I think since the flood, we've built, I think we're at 26 houses now, and we just got house after house. I mean, we just got a lot of houses. People lost everything they had, and we're still working out of that. Absolutely.
And what's the name? The organization you work for?
It's Homes Incorporated.
Okay.
HOMES, Housing Oriented Ministries Established for Service Incorporated, but we call it Homes.
And you're building homes these are homes for people that are in need. Is that?
Yeah, we build homes for people because there's no housing market here, and there never has been. There's no other private developer of housing in our community.
Okay.
And as a nonprofit, we play that role typically or historically because the appraisal values have been so low that somebody can't go to the bank and borrow enough money to cover labor and materials. That's historically is what the housing market has been. But the flood took out probably about 25% of our housing here. So it put more strain on it, which put it gave us more opportunities to work on those problems there. So we've been really busy doing that work as well. So that's my day job. And when I get home from there, I get to stand in a sugar shack and make memes and videos and stuff. And that's what I like to do. So.
What is the average cost per acre down there?
Oh, so it depends what you're buying. Hillside property a lot of times can be bought between $500 and $1,500 an acre. Hillside property, now it's steep. I mean, it's straight up and down. You're not going to do much with it.
Yeah.
But that's typically what it was. And a lot of folks, when the mining was going strong here, you're always hopeful that maybe some mine would come and offer me, $1.50 on a ton or so to mine coal on my property, and I'd be set.
Yeah.
That possibility is gone because the coal mines have pretty well left out of this country, which have left a vacuum. And that's one of the stories economically that we talk about, especially when we give a tour. When we have a Maple Day, neighbors come and help, and I'll have about 5 or 6 side-by-sides, and I have an hour-long tour that we take. And on that tour, I can take 20, 24 people at a time, and we'll have stops along the way, and I'll tell them how we make maple syrup. But when we get up top at the highest, you can overlook a lot of tens of thousands of acres, and all you see is mountains. And then I tell them why we make it. Why are we doing this? And that's all about the economics part of the story. And the thing that I say all the time to people is, the coal industry here was always a mono industry. It was like the silver bullet thing. There was one thing that people did: they mined coal. When that left, a lot of times the knee-jerk reaction is, we need another silver bullet. We need that big factory. We need this one thing to come in. And I'm like, my position is, I don't think we need that. We need a shotgun approach where we're shooting, pellets, silver BBs, not a silver bullet. It's a diverse economy.
Spread your risk.
Spread the risk, spread the possibility. So this whole maple syrup, and I always tell people, I don't think maple syrup saves Appalachia, but could it be a piece of something that generates income and is something in this piece, especially for people in agriculture or people that want a side hustle? Is it something they can do to help their income? So that's kind of the story that we tell when we're standing at the very last stop on top of the mountain, looking over everything.
Wow.
Yeah.
So would you say most of the people that are in Tennessee, like yourself, producers, are they selling it like kind of at their farm? Is that how most of it's sold, or are you guys getting it in stores in the area, or do the stores even carry it? Or because up here it's very, very common to have like tons of it in every grocery store you go to.
Yeah, so it's not common because there's not a lot of producers, so everything's a novel right now. So there's a combination of people who market their product in stores. I would say most people don't go to grocery store level, like chain stores,
right?
But more mom and pop type of stores here and there. There's quite a bit of that gets done down here with selling a product. But selling our product is never our problem. I think we bottled 31 gallons last year, all 8 ounces, and sold every drop. I mean, it's not hard to sell. It kind of sells itself.
See, that's good. That's interesting because you're in that area where it's much more not as common as Wisconsin here. Like, I know a lot of guys up here, they're not into the side of sales.
Yes.
They don't like that.
Yep.
I mean, they have trouble getting rid of it.
Yeah.
They don't know what to do with it, or they just go the route of selling the drums, in bulk.
Right.
But you'd be in a good area for marketing it and getting the best price.
Yeah, and I enjoy the marketing. I think marketing is telling your story, just getting out there and just telling stories. I mean, that's what it is. And, I love marketing our product. I believe in our product. It's not like a scammy type of thing, and people see what we're doing. And every time we come down off the hill on a tour, every time I get the comments of, now we know why it's so expensive. It's a lot of work goes into it. Yeah. They're like, holy cow, you run all this tubing? So
what would you say your flavor profile is? Is there any difference, do you think? Have you had any syrup from the north here? And just what you're describing, I feel like there'd be maybe a butterier taste, maybe.
Oh, you got it. I mean, I've got to say Kentucky maple syrup is the best. I mean, it just is, right? But there is a real difference, and we've intentionally sent syrup north and have some brought down this way as well. And I would say there is a buttery texture almost to it. And I don't know if it's where we're starting with a lower sugar content, maybe boiling more or longer to get there. But food and locality have a connection, right?
Yeah.
There's a real taste profiles, I think, from all over the country, and it is different here, and um, it's really good, and it's different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got
What do you take your concentrate to when you're ROing?
So have you ever started at 1.2%?
Yeah.
Have you ever started there?
Yeah.
So with one pass through, I'm happy if I end up around 6.5, somewhere in there.
That's right where I take mine.
Okay, and then when I'm there, that's easy work of it.
Yep.
But then again, we need to, I like to run my RO if I have 350 gallons or more. My main sap tank is 400, and I do everything I can to overflow it. Just love to see a full tank of sap. There's nothing like it.
What's your evaporator setup?
So I have a 2x6 raised flue Smoky Lake.
Okay. Right
same
from
side.
Wisconsin.
Yep, that's right. Same side reverse, and it's got a blower on it, and that thing will rock. Compared to my Sunrise Mighty Guy, that was the first one that I had. It might have done 20 gallons an hour, maybe if I had the right wood conditions, 25.
Okay.
But this one will just, I can get to bed before midnight now.
What'd you say you're getting out of it for gallons per hour?
Oh, this one here.
Yeah.
I don't want to overstate, but I'd say it's
40s.
not overstating to say 60 to 65.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You must have a preheater and hood too, then?
I don't. No, I don't. No, I don't.
Wow.
It just really goes. It does really super well. I really don't want to overstate, and I haven't scientifically taken measurement and time and stuff, but I'm very pleased.
Wow.
Yeah.
You got John Duvall just said, love seeing the KMSA hats on display.
Oh, yeah,
so
there you go.
you're wearing one.
Right
I'm
there.
wearing one. David,
Hey.
where's yours?
Yeah, all right.
Missing out.
I got this from John. He gave me that, so I had to wear that tonight.
John's a great guy, and he's provided great leadership for the KMSA. I really have a lot of appreciation for him.
Yeah. He was very proactive in getting that all set up and helping me, do my thing there. And again, I'll say thank you very much to you guys. It was a great time. We got a question here for you. Is there ginseng growing in Kentucky?
Oh yeah, if it doesn't get stolen, it grows everywhere here. Yeah, yep. We have ginseng. That's one of the things that you can find plentiful around here. I see my brother's on. I love my brother Luke Long. Coffee flavor is my favorite. One of the things that we've done the first year we did this. We had a market garden too. And we had a CSA to families, like a subscription-based produce type of thing we had with people. And at the end of the year, we had a bunch of cayenne peppers and habanero peppers. And it was the end of the year. We couldn't sell anymore, so we dried them. And when we dried them, I thought, well, let's hot pack these in maple syrup. And we did. So we started hot packing that. And selling it as a cayenne or a habanero maple syrup, which is really good if you're smoking meat or grilling meat. You think about ribs and that spicy hot on there. It's a really good thing. And from there, we branched out to doing vanilla beans, cinnamon sticks. We're doing dried blueberries this year as well that we grew, and that's been good too. And the value-added market then takes a bottle of maple syrup to $20 a bottle, from 12 to 20. So for a little bit extra, you can gain more market. So, and where else do you get it? You can't go to the store and buy it, and people really appreciate it.
Yeah.
We got Alex Riggs. He says he's from Western Kentucky, and he's been doing maple syrup for 8 years, and he's planning to run sap lines next year.
I hope Alex is a member of the KMSA, and if he's not, he needs to check it out.
Sure.
Maybe
yeah,
he is.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I don't know everybody in the association, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We got a question for you from Tima. What soil types are your trees in?
Oh boy. How would I answer that question? I'm not sure how to answer it.
Is it heavy clay? Is it loamy? Is it pretty much bedrock?
It's not. It's well, bedrock would be a good way to. Our mountains are steep and eroded, with a bit of topsoil on the top. I think that tends to be a bit acidic, but there's. I mean, I can't describe how steep the mountains are here. I mean, they're just 40-some degrees, about as steep as you can go.
Yeah.
And it's a real challenge working these hills, especially in the maple season when everything's wet, snowy. You just
I can't imagine.
It's really tough.
Yeah, we don't have that type of stuff where I'm at.
Yeah, I know, and I've seen your all's operation. I don't know what I do on flat ground. I don't know what I do with all my time.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, I went deer hunting about an hour southeast of Louisville, and I was out there, and I went back a mile, and it took me. Oh man, it took me all day. I was like, oh, it's a mile, flatline here. I'd be back there in a half hour. Took me all day, and I got to the very last hill and crested it, and there was a whole nother one, and I sat down, and the leaves were they're all oaks, and I ended up sitting down, and I ended up sliding on my butt all the way down to the hill, and I managed just to have a little bit of service. And I'll never forget calling my wife saying, honey, they're never going to find me. My legs have literally gave out. I'm done. Nice knowing you. I've never experienced anything like it. And then deer just bloop, 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 bloop over it. And I'm like, you could not sneak up on them things. Like I was like, this is for the birds.
Yeah. And those were the foothills too.
Oh.
Yeah. So, yeah.
So what do you see this season looking like for you? You think it's going to be good? Or are you in the middle? You feel you're at the end, or where are you at?
Yeah, I think, I was just looking at the forecast this evening a little bit, and we have a good week of nights in the teens, days in the 40s. I mean, we can have very wide spreads, and that might be a good week. But I think I heard the spring peepers at the end of last week, and that's always a bad sign.
That's a bad sign.
Things are coming to an end. But if we get this cold weather, I don't think the buds have swollen yet, and we'll make a little bit more syrup. I hope. Last year we finished strong. I think we made more in the last week of February than we made most of the season. It's just, I don't know if you guys can predict things better, or you have it down or something. Sometimes it's just unpredictable the way it's going to go.
Well, I think, like you said, your climate, it's just more all over the place, where we can kind of, especially, I mean, at least by me, where for historically you can pretty much almost block out which weeks are going to be your season.
Yeah.
And just kind of stays to that generally. Last year was an anomaly here, but normally it's pretty solid what you can expect generally.
Yeah, yeah.
Time.
What type of sugar content? I mean, do you range from year to year? What do you guys see?
Speaking for me, I think in Wisconsin it's always been, from what I hear, pretty high.
Mm-hmm.
It's higher than most places in the country. I mean, obviously in the trees that we tap and the sap that we also buy from other tappers in our area. I mean, we'll see tests of 3.5%.
Wow.
Guys bringing in sap loads like that.
Wow.
From time to, probably people not on vacuum. Vacuum, it tends to be a little bit lower, but like we probably always run 2.5 to 3.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Primarily hard maples too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're probably 50-50 on our farm. 50% reds, 50% sugar.
Okay.
Maples. Yeah, the red maples here grow like a weed. So when a lot of these places have been over timbered over the years, and you'll find areas of lots of red maples in there, but the best places that we have, around here we have hollers, right? Ravines, and the northern facing hollers, that's where our sugar maples tend to be. They like that cooler and the damper and wetter.
The guys around me that have the hard maple bushes, they can be that 2.5% pretty steady and drop down to that 1.8. But for me personally, in my bush, I'm like 98% softs, silvers.
Okay. Yep.
And I start the season off right about 2, but it can drop pretty quick, it seems like.
I see.
So I'm usually the whole, if you had to average the entire season, I'm probably 1.5, 1.6.
Okay. An honest sugar maker.
It's rare.
Yeah.
A lot of
So RO is my friend too.
Good deal. Nice. Yeah.
So do you see yourself making anything else with? I mean, do you do anything else on the farm? I mean,
So
what else do you guys grow there or do there?
Yeah. So we do a lot of hunting. Me and my kids, we like to hunt. We harvest venison and that type of thing. We have a big garden. We used to sell produce. Since the flood, that I kind of knocked that out. I just got so busy with work. We haven't done anything since then.
Okay.
But on the Maple Day, we have a lot of fun with baked goods. My daughters bake a lot, and they make sticky buns. Everything's made with maple syrup, like maple sticky buns. My daughter makes bacon maple glazed donuts that are to die for. She's making them all day long when people are here. They make a maple shortbread glazed cookie. That's a big seller too. They're hard to make, but they sell well. And we do like the nuts and the maple granola. When we have our Maple Day, it's also eat ice cream for breakfast day. There is such a thing. And we said, well, somebody pointed it out to us. Somebody came to our event with a gallon of vanilla ice cream because it was eat ice cream for breakfast day. And he got maple syrup poured on it and ate by the fire, he ate his ice cream. So we're like, well, we got to sell that. So we sell ice cream there all day long with maple syrup and granola on it too.
Nice.
And that kind of value added stuff, if you're able to do that, people really enjoy anything that's homemade anymore. And so.
Have you got anybody to ferment any of your syrup around there at all?
So but I've thought about it. We talked about, there is a distillery in town, and I took some of their corn whiskey moonshine products, and I got some oak aging strips, and I fooled around with that a little bit. It was really interesting.
So you back sweetened it then?
Yeah, there's possibilities of doing stuff with that too. Probably more money in it, honestly. Yeah.
There's somebody here, Spencer Luth, he's talking about your baked goods right here on this comment.
Oh, cool. Nice. Yeah.
He's been following your farm, and he says, send some to him. Can you order online or anything like that?
So we used to do more of that, but life's busy. We don't do so much. We used to do that every year, but yeah, there's only so much time in a day, and that's one of the balances you got to figure out. What can you do? What can you do and stay sane and all that? So there's just a balance with everything, and you got to find that place where you don't want to do it and it not be enjoyable anymore, and that's not a fun place to be. So every year's a little bit different, right? Family needs and whatever's going on. So
Keep it fun. That is number one.
Yeah, there's nothing like it. I mean, I just think it's the coolest thing to have trees on the property that give out sweet sap that you just take the water out of, and you end up with maple syrup. I mean, how cool is that? I mean, it's just the neatest process, and I hope I never get tired of doing it. I mean, just love it.
Yep.
Yeah. How many? Now again, you were talking about earlier, but how many years now have you been at the farm in Kentucky?
We've lived here since 1998 at this particular place.
Okay.
Yep. And again, it's basically about maybe 3/4 of an acre of flat ground, and the rest of it's all mountains. We have 55 acres here. I probably could tap on my property. I'm thinking about 800 trees if I wanted to. So I just don't have the time to do that. I tapped today 330 trees is where I'm at.
Okay.
Or 330 taps, and that's a happy spot for me right now.
And it's plenty of work.
It's plenty of work,
especially when you worked all day.
Yeah, that's right. We take the week between Christmas and New Year's off. That's a vacation week, so that me and my family comes in from out of state and everything, and we spend it in the hills getting everything ready. We enjoy each other. over the holiday and stuff, but we worked the rest of the time getting ready. Here, I don't know if you guys have as much problem as we do, but squirrels, oh, death to squirrels. I
Okay.
hate them. So
Yeah, squirrels are definitely a problem for us as well.
yeah,
We had a lot of chews on our lines and things like that.
yeah,
You know, that's every year. You know,
Yeah.
it's just a constant battle.
I've thought about having, like, you know how they have coyote predator tournaments where, you know, you get so much time and you have weigh-ins and stuff. I thought about having squirrel tournaments on our farm. Just let people come and pay out a dividend for whoever gets the most amount of squirrels or something. I hate squirrels.
David, there you go. You're a hunter. You're a big hunter. Go down there.
Yeah. Yeah, come down and hunt squirrels. We got elk too here. That's pretty cool.
Oh, yeah, you have elk in Kentucky. Yes.
Yep. We have elk on our farm from time to time. Some big bull elks have come through here.
Right
And that's
through your farm.
right through in the middle of it. Yep.
That's
Big,
really
big
interesting.
bulls. That's pretty
Yeah, in Wisconsin, there's a couple elk herds too. There's a northern one, and then there's a small herd in central Wisconsin, in kind of the central forest region, and they were, I think, reintroduced into Wisconsin, you know, many years ago as, you know, a project, and they've been able to sustain that and grow a bit, I believe.
cool. That's very good.
So, but yeah, David, we keep losing him. I don't know. He kind of, I don't know if
maybe he didn't like that squirrel comment.
his internet connection apparently isn't that good. But
Mm.
Seth, I mean, it was great having you on here. We've been on about an hour now, and
Yeah.
the plan was to go about an hour. So
Yeah.
it was interesting having you on, a guy from Kentucky, giving us a little insight into what it's like.
Yeah. I call it sugaring in the South. It's a hashtag I use all the time. I just think it's kind of what we're about, what we're doing down here, and there's a lot of great folks doing it, a lot of opportunities, and I appreciate you showing interest. You know, I think sometimes people look down their nose at, you know, if you're not at one of the northern states and what can you possibly do, but we're doing it. We're getting it done. It might be a little bit different than what it's done up north, but we're getting it done.
Yeah, absolutely. I hope you have a great rest of the season, and you know, it meets your expectations. And you know, like up here, we'll see what happens for us too. You never know.
Yeah.
But thanks for checking in tonight. I don't know what happened to David. He's gone. But guys, thanks for watching. And guys, have a great rest of your week. Have a great weekend. And from Seth and myself, remember, always keep it real.